Good morning to everyone. Facebook land, what's going on out there in the world? Yes, I do too. Make sure I have all of our honors and privileges this morning as we all come in. Let's all settle in. Moto. Okay, that must be the phone. Okay. Grand Rising Wu Nation. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Louise.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Facebook land.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Nefertiti. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning, Iya.
Good morning, Robin.
John, we're actually not hearing the song.
No, we're not hearing the song this morning.
But we get to see a
Maybe we
visual and
get
we
to
can
sing
just, yeah, we get to see the words that's popping across on the
and we get to
screen.
see the people. Everyone, just about everybody here knows the words to the song.
Transforming that we are.
Yes.
And as we think of our birthday month, let's think of, all those gems and wonderful transformation that we've made thus far.
And the song is over. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome and grand rising. Oh, your birthday's March 15th. Yes, good morning to all of the birthday people. Happy Women's Month to all of us. Um, to all of the firsts that we are in our families, to the first that we are in our communities, and to all of the firsts that we are creating as women. So that is what I am celebrating with you this morning. So this morning, we are here to talk about feelings. How is everyone feeling this morning? You can answer that question. How are you feeling this morning? Anybody can unmute themselves or type in the chat. How are you feeling this morning with an honest feeling? Someone feels great. That's wonderful. I'm questioning, is great a feeling? I have to investigate that. I don't know if great is a feeling. Great, excited. Someone's excited. Tony is excited. Thankful. Warm and happy. Outstanding and improving. Okay.
So
So we
like have someone bring their voice into the space to share, or is it fine just reading the chat?
someone can, if someone is having, someone can share. in the
I'll
space.
pick
And if
out,
someone can share with me, someone from Facebook, how they're feeling out there in Facebook land, I'm sure they got a feeling going on.
I'll ask Purple how she's feeling today. Purple, would you grace us with your beautiful voice?
Yeah, it's funny. I was trying to type something and I was like, I don't know. Good morning, everyone. So
Good morning.
I had some troubles. I was uneasy in the middle of the night. So I did some meditation that helped. Then I listened to something I listened to that helped. So I'm starting to lighten up, but I have some sadness and depression lingering. Low vibration is what I wanted to say. I just didn't want to necessarily claim that because I'm shifting it, you know?
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you shared that, Purple, because I'm going to circle back to you.
Okay.
But since you shared that you are willing to shift that and change that, we are going to circle back.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing honestly and authentically. I appreciate that. What is that from Facebook, show me?
I have quite a few. Stacy McLean on Facebook says, I feel well rested and abundant. Cynthia Francis says, I feel grateful to be a part of this beautiful Wake Up family. Cherie, I'm feeling still loading.
That was the one. What's still loading? I like that. Like still loading. Like the energy is still coming up. I like that. The way she said that was the one that I saw that popped up. It was like, I get it. I love that one. Thank you, Charmaine. Thank you, Facebook Land, for sharing how you feeling out there. So today, as I said, we are talking about feelings. And it's something that we all express and it shows up in our worlds every single day. How it shows up in our mind, in our body, as dis-ease and discomfort, it shows up because it's an energy. One of the things I wanted to share before we go into, I just have a dialogue with you, is just some definitions of feeling, of some words. And one is um, feelings, to perceive or to be aware of through thought, bodily or emotional reactions, distinctions, etc. So, and to produce an indicated overall condition, impression, or reaction, an impression produced upon a person, like having a sensation, and marked or indicating emotion. And then emotions says that it's a strong surge of a feeling marked by an impulse to outward express and often accompanied by a complex bodily reaction. I know in the beginning, I often didn't make a distinction between an emotion and a feeling until some years later when I actually read the definitions, um, realizing that a feeling, to feel is a verb. Feeling is actually a noun and an adjective. So I was like, okay, so noun is a person, place, a thing. An adjective is a description. So I found that interesting as a feeling is a state of being or a person, place, a thing. And then when you name a feeling, happy, sad, glad, melancholy, awakened, it's an adjective. So I thought that was interesting when I had found that out. So did anybody else ever make the distinction between a thought and an emotion? I mean, a thought and an emotion, a feeling and an emotion, you could type that in the chat. And in Facebook, you could type that also in the chat. I'm interested to know if someone wants to raise their hand, they can come off mute and we could talk about if they had ever made a distinction between a feeling. Teresa Scott.
Taking See the tree, I realized that a lot of things that I've been feeling is just my emotions has been getting in the way of like what's real and what's not real. So I've been able to distinguish between the two of them because sometimes I could just have to be a emotional issue, but is that something that's really valid? And okay, I'll give an example. Like last night, I wanted to eat. I felt like I was hungry. I thought, having a feeling I was dealing with some emotional thing. So I had to say to myself, Teresa, are you really hungry? Or is it just, your emotion that you're dealing with? So I realized that a part of it was that I was hungry, but also I was dealing with an emotional thing. And which was weird too, because I hadn't had that feeling in a while, because normally if I've have been able to distinguish, but in a way the situation it was good. It was good. It was a funny situation, but it was also, like it was dealing with a relationship. So the person was like acting one way and like really being really, really, really like really different. So I was laughing and enjoying, how different they was. But then I thought about it. I was like, why can't they just be this person on a regular basis? So, I was dealing with those two emotions, but I did, feel that like that hungry thing. So I didn't eat, I just ate salad instead of, like dealing with, I was like, and so I was able to say, what Teresa, you're dealing with both things. You probably are a little bit hungry, but you also are dealing with the emotions. So that was the difference. And so I was proud of myself for not giving totally into, the emotions of it and just overeating. So that's where I saw the difference, and I was, I'm complete.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It sounded like you made a different choice in the moment. There's a whole bunch of things that I can unpack in what you said. However, it sounded like ultimately you made a different choice when you chose to eat salad. Because I don't want to make this up, but let me ask the question: has it been your experience to eat your emotions?
Most definitely. And I would just binge really I mean, I would just go crazy with eating. But I was like, no, you're not doing that. You're not gonna do that. You're gonna deal with these emotions. You're gonna deal with it. I know how you're feeling, but it was just it was just it was weird for me, because that's the first time I had both of those feelings at the same time, where I was hungry and I was dealing with emotions at the same time. And so I was able to, like choose not to, allow the emotions to take me to a place that wasn't, to go into unhealthy eating. So I felt, very proud of myself that I was able to handle that a lot better.
Well, I applaud you and acknowledge you for making a different choice.
Yes.
And, you know, and knowing that that is the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of the resolution of unresolved feelings. And today, I'm going to share with you, with everyone, you and everyone, a tool that would help us all, and I say us all because I am not excluded from this, how to process those feelings and emotions that are unresolved or unconscious or any of those things. So, so I thank you for that, Teresa. One of the, I think it's I don't know, kind of like a miracle um, when we are able to make a different choice sometimes, because sometimes things are just so ingrained that when I make a different choice, it's like, wow, where did that come from all of a sudden? Like, where did that surge of energy, or where did that choosing, or that knowledge, or that impetus, where did it come from all of a sudden? And it's like, I want more of that, opposed to just being in the moment of Okay, I made a different choice this morning. So I know that my definition of miracles, uh, when I use the term miracles, it comes from, I love the sacred text of A Course in Miracles. I think of miracles as everyday occurrences. That's one of their definitions of miracles. So it's not like it's some like really far off thing for me or something unattainable. I see it as something attainable. And I know that miracles are like sprinkles of healing because they come to transition a lack, something that is kind of a lack. So that's how I look at it. And I know that we are all looking to heal on many different levels. That's why you're here in this woo space. That's why we are all here in this woo space, because we come to do that, to heal, to grow, to become more of ourselves, to become more in alignment with ourselves, all of those things. I have to, excuse me, I have to keep drinking water because it is warm in my house in this now moment. The heat came up, and yes, sprinkles of healing. So, who's singing? Can we mute ourselves when we come in, please? Good morning to everyone who is still coming in. And can we please mute ourselves? So, again, we're talking about feelings this morning. And does anyone remember the title of this particular segment? I want you to raise your hand, and if you remember it, say it to me, please. Everybody's looking for it now, right? You're like, what's the name of the segment? What's the name of the segment? Who is the first one that is going to who is the first one that is going who is going to remember? Somebody from Facebook remembers?
Teresa has her hand raised. I don't know, Teresa, that from the last one, or did you remember?
So I was looking for someone else. I don't know if that was the last one or not.
That was
If
by
that was from the
mistake.
last one.
No, that was by mistake.
That was a clip real quick.
Jacqueline Davis has her hand raised.
Okay.
Feelings, what does that have to do with what's happening now?
Yes, Jacqueline, feelings. What does your feelings have to do with what's happening now?
Yes, that's what I see.
And I'm asking you the question.
It has absolutely nothing to do with what's happening now. What's happening
Really?
now, I'm having a little bit of emotion. So it's not like I'm in my feelings. It's just that I just am avoiding some emotions that I'm having. And I've been doing that by eating. Thank you, Teresa.
Well, that seems to be the theme for today. So are you willing to share a little bit more?
Well, I guess I've had a little bit of sadness, and then I was angry yesterday with my family over a situation with my mother. So I was eating, kept going back in the kitchen to get more stuff to eat, and had me a glass of wine and had some cheese, and I just kept going back and eating things and knowing that sugar level I really need to stay away from, and I was still eating things that had sugar and carbs because I felt the need for some comfort.
And what was the emotion that you were having? Thank you for sharing.
I was feeling a little sad, and I was angry. I was very angry. And it had to do with a situation with my mother and her helper and my siblings trying to ignore the situation and leaving me out there hanging. So I was very upset.
You know, God got jokes. I say it all the time. Would you like to share a little bit more about that?
Well, basically, my mother is 92 years old, and she's always been a little bit on the difficult side, but she's extremely manipulative. So she will tell one child this, one of her children this, another one that, another one whatever, and we all get different stories. And so she wants to come up to stay with me for a little bit because she doesn't really like the person that we employed at night to stay with her. And her reasoning is not because the woman is doing anything wrong. She just doesn't like the way she looks. She doesn't like the way she sounds. It's a Caribbean thing and it's a color thing. And it's very disturbing. And I had to have a long conversation with her, maybe about 2 hours, to try to get her to see how unfair she was being between, because she compares her two helpers, the one in the daytime and the one in the evening. Now, which is funny because before it was just a light and dark thing, but now they're both dark skinned and it's a countryman versus American thing. So it's like, are you serious? And she made a statement that she should be happy because she has privilege. And I'm like, what? What are you? I said, do you know you sound like the slave master right now? Are you serious? So I was like, I just couldn't believe it. But I always knew my mother had bigoted ways, but I just was like, I thought that as you got older, you would kind of let some of that stuff go. But it seems like she's going backwards because, you know, maybe they say twice a child. So I'm thinking maybe she's reliving her childhood because she had a little bit of a privileged childhood growing up in the West Indies. And I think that she was a little spoiled by her grandmother. So she thinks that people are supposed to wait on her. She sometimes calls her aides the maid. She doesn't even refer to them as, you know, companions or her aides. She says, you know, my maid. I'm like, Ma, you don't have a maid. You don't have that, you know, but she's stuck on that right now. And I guess she must be going back into the childhood thing because she's 92. So I'm not sure, but I told my sister about it yesterday and we laughed about it, but it's not funny when you're dealing with people and people's feelings are getting hurt. And so and I was angry because I tried to, my mother was able to manipulate me because I didn't have all the information. And one of my older sisters did have the information. And if she had called me and spoken to me, then I would have known how to respond to my mother, but I didn't. And so I was angry because I felt like I got manipulated into something that I wasn't ready to deal with right now or willing to deal with. Because I have my own health issues and stuff like that. So I'm going through something right now and they were aware of that. And so I kind of got tricked. That's how I feel. I feel like I got tricked and that made me angry.
Well, so thank you for sharing that. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
It's interesting. I want you to hear how you move through the story of what she was experiencing to get to your feelings. You know, there's a whole layers of things here. Let me just start by sharing with you that I am a gerontologist. Geriatric care management is what I do on a daily basis. So I hear you. The first thing I want to say to you is thank you. Thank you for being a caregiver. If no one has ever said that to you. So let me just start there because that's the first thing that came up. Is to say to you, thank you for being part of the care plan, being part of the care team for your mother. So okay. I just want to say thank you to you and your siblings for what you do for your mother.
Right. Thank you.
Your mom's experiences, her emotions, as you started to unpack, goes back to some of the privilege that she's had. As we move forward and move through the script, move through these tools, we will begin to be able to unpack some of the repressed, as you said, feelings. Because one of the things that happens for older adults, I don't know what type, if any, health challenges your mother has, but they tend to, as we get older, we remember things from further back than we do things from the present moment.
Yeah, I'm very aware of that.
So I don't know if she is conscious or not about what she's doing in the moment.
Mm.
However, she is extremely conscious about her experience, as you said, of her having privilege.
Mm. Okay.
So, and the sadness, you didn't really speak about the sadness a lot, but you did speak around the anger and how it made you feel. That you felt manipulated by your mother, which sounds like it's possible that that is not a new feeling.
It's not. It's not. It's happened on occasion, and it's usually when I don't have the information, and she'll call me and she'll be upset about something, and I'll try to calm her down, and I don't know, and then I feel kind of guilty because there was a period of time where I kept a distance from my family, years, trying to I just stayed away from them. So and then we had our relationship was not great because of some childhood trauma that I suffered as a result of her decisions. So it took a long time for me to come to terms with that. Actually, recently, I think the woo thing has helped me to deal with that. So I never used to be able to stay around her for more than an hour or so. And now I'm finding myself being with her for hours and hours and going down there all the time and doing things for her. And now she wants to come for a week. This is going to be a challenge. And, so, and I guess I'm feeling sad because I'm a little isolated. I'm up in the suburbs of New York City, and most of my people and friends were in New York City. And it's been like that for almost 20 years, but at least I had some relationships up here that I had for a little while, but those were temporary friends. and so now my real friends, or my long-term friends, are down in the city or in another state. So I'm very isolated. So that's probably another reason why I came to the Woo Nation, because I was very isolated, and then being in the pandemic, I needed to reach out to somebody. And I got the opportunity to do that here. And then I said, okay, well, let me take this opportunity to heal myself, because I'm up in my 50s, and it's time for me to let some things go, and time for me to resolve some issues and move on. So that's what I've been working on. And I've been trying to get my sisters and brothers to do the same thing, but I haven't been successful. So I'm a little bit sad about that. And, the friendship thing and the isolation. And then my home situation is platonic. That's the best way I can put it without being too descriptive.
I love it. Thank you. Because have you noticed that the more you emote, the more you share, the more feelings come up, and you kind of go through the layers of what's underneath the anger.
Oh yeah, it's
just in this moment that you've been sharing. Now we're into isolation, so now we're uncovering more of what is underneath the anger or the sadness, even though it's expressing as the situation with your mother right now. But what's within you. So I thank you for that. I am willing to, as I stated, I am a geriatric care manager. So the family situation part, I'm not going to go down
that rabbit hole.
Well, that road, because it's a road, it's a journey in this now moment. But feel free to reach out to me and we can unpack that more. Yeah.
Okay.
We can absolutely unpack that more.
All right. Thank you.
I want to thank you for sharing the pieces. I just want you to be aware as you begin talking and sharing, how you began to uncover more and more emotions and feelings and thoughts and beliefs in the process. You know, your Woo community has you. You know, I'm glad that you reached out to a community and landed in this community, because you spoke of isolation, so you made a different choice to move from isolation into community. So I'm grateful and thankful that you made that choice and that you chose this community and that you are um, healing
Yes,
and learning and growing in the process. So thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for the share. And I'm looking at what's popping up, so I also encourage you to look into the chat to see what some of your community supports have been sharing with you. So take a few moments and look at that.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome, Jackie. Thank you. Yes. And anyone else, I just want to really talk about, do we always know where feelings begin? You know, um, where do they come from? We sometimes we think we can trace something back to its origin, but I want us to know it's all energy. You know, energy is indestructible, as we all know. If we don't know, energy is indestructible. It will never die, ever. But the energy shifts and changes. So feelings are energies. So what we can do is shift and change them. We can't kill them. We mold and shape and change them. So when we come into, so I don't want to get into a lot of science, but I do know that when we are in the gestation period, and I know some of you are in this space, in this field, when we're in the gestation period, I believe it's 22, 24 weeks that we begin to hear everything that's going on while we're in the womb. So that's why you sing to the womb, you sing to the baby, the person we speak to. They can hear everything. Uh, that's why it's also important as to what type of environment we are gestating in, because we pick up the energies of what's happening around us and what's going on with not just the mother whose container that we're in, who's holding us. We also we pick up the sounds and vibrations of the outside world. Also, before we decided, when our soul decided to come into this lifetime at this time in this way, on the other side, we made a choice. And so we came in with energies. So we are coming to heal things in past generations. We are coming with all sorts of feelings and emotions. We come to complete things that weren't done in the line. We, you know, we come to create change. Every single one of us, we come to create change. So sometimes we have, well, I'm not going to say that. I'll ask another question. Does anyone sometimes have thoughts, feelings, emotions, and we have, like, why am I feeling that? Why is that happening? I don't even understand. Where does that come from? I know I do. And what I've learned is it came in with me in birth. It's not something that happened in this incarnation. It happened, could be 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 incarnations ago. I don't know. However, I know I'm experiencing the effects of that now. Zakia said, me. I see Cheryl unmuted herself.
Yeah, I wanted to prime the pump with everyone by sharing my own experience. I recently was talking to my mom and my sister and discovered that they have something that I also have, which is a visceral reaction to patterns, a particular kind of pattern, to where it can make me nauseous or just make me feel like I want to just have just anxiety and have a like break out into a cold sweat from just looking at a pattern. And I didn't know that my mom and my sister also had this. So just discovering that they have it, and we discovered that it's a phobia, and discovering that they have it lets me know that it's something that also was, maybe genetic, that I never knew where it came from or why it was, but I just knew how I felt when I would see a particular pattern. And to hear that they also have a version of it lets me know that it's definitely something that is genetic or handed down through my genes, which is very key. And it was something that I've lived with all these 56 years and didn't know where it came from. So that's a feeling, a huge feeling, that I was not knowing where it came from or why.
Wow, and it's genetic. So as I said, it could come from 3, 4, 5 incarnations ago, or uh, I've learned that phobias, fears that are connected to phobias have, are fears of, they're also like abandonment or experiences that has happened in the past. So some of them are, I'll use an example um, of dirt. There's someone that had feeling a phobia around dirt, not just like being in dirt, but they had this real fear of dirt. And come to find out that there was someone in their family line, and that's, some of this goes to those secrets that the families have. Someone actually had died in like a mine, like in a they used to work in a mine, and they were literally like buried alive. So the mine collapsed, and that's what happened. But no one really told that story. So the energy of that kept being transmuted through someone, almost like screaming, like help me, heal me, something. Until someone actually uncovered that, they found that that was the experience. Someone had did um, uh, a spiritual investigation, and that's what came up in the spiritual investigation, asking that question. But the people who were doing the investigation didn't know anything about the their feeling that they had around the dirt. However, they, from that point and being able to do ancestral work, they were able to kind of move through that and uncover that. And at some point, like you said, you was having a conversation with your family. They began having a conversation with their family about, so they started making kind of like inquiry. And again, being around one of the old people in the family that they wasn't accustomed to being around, someone that was in their 80s or 90s, someone told the story, and people were like, oh yeah, I used to hear that, but no one like believed the story, or thought it was just a story, but it was actually something that happened to someone in their family. So they were the person to heal that spirit and be able to move and shift the energy of that particular family line. So, whatever that phobia is with you, Cheryl, this might be an opportunity for you to be able to do that. And since you shared that there are more than one of you that's having the same experience, it might be something that you can start or something that the family can move through together. And it could be a family healing, like not just a family line healing, but a family healing, something that all of you can actually do together. How powerful would that be?
Very, very. I'm very tuned into that, and I love what you're saying, because I'm very tuned into the fact that the healing work that we do now is healing generations going forward, as well as those that came before us. So to actually heal something that I've recognized that we all experience together now would really be very powerful going on into the future. And yeah, I'm definitely here for it. I'm definitely willing any kind of support in that direction, because this is really something I just found out like two or 3 days ago. So yeah,
Wow.
very, very interested in working that through, at least for myself. And then I will share that with my mom and my sister, with hopes that they would also be willing to do it.
How divine is timing. What they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? So, here you go. You've received this information, and immediately, because you've been doing the work, it's like, okay, we can move through the process to get to the other side. So, how powerful are you?
Very.
How
And I encourage
powerful
everybody
are
else to do their
you?
own as well.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I just can't wait. So, as we know, we often hear how Louise A. And various people talk about how feelings manifest in the body as diseases. Um, and I want to share, I have to share the story. And I wasn't going to share the story, but I have to share the story because of what happened this morning. I will tie it all in. So I don't know how long it's been now. It's probably been close to 20 years ago. When I think about 20 years, when I think that 2000 was 20 years ago, it just kind of blows my mind. So it's probably been around 20 years ago. I was in a car, um, driving, driving um, back from the east end of Long Island back into the city. And this was around the time where they were doing, it has to be more than 20 years ago. The seatbelt law was just kind of going into effect. So it was like it wasn't kind of mandatory, or it was becoming mandatory that everybody had to wear a seatbelt. And this debate about seatbelts. And we were driving on the Grand Central Parkway. Um, we were driving on the Grand Central Parkway, coming back east, and we were right about LaGuardia Airport, and had a car accident. Bam, car spun and ended up into the divider. So were three of us in the car. It was the driver. I was not the driver. I was the front seat passenger, and then there was a passenger in the back. And we were driving and we were singing Bill Withers' Lovely Day. So everybody know that song? It's going to be a lovely day. And the reason why I'm telling this story is well, there's several reasons, but one of the reasons is I turned on the radio this morning, something that I don't do, to BLS, and that song was on the radio. So I guess I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to tell this story today. And anyway, they had to cut us out the car. I ended up with a experience in my back. So I had my L4, my coccyx bone, and a couple of other spinal issues. And obviously, they send you to therapy. They do all of these different things. So I had the herniated disc and those sorts of things happening in my back, right? So your spine is your support system. So hold that. Then, you go through the therapy, you do what the doctors tell you to do. And then I started reading the Louise Hay book, and I was like, let me find out what this all means. And the first Louise Hay book I had did not have the spinal alignment in it. And someone said to me that there was another book, a smaller book, that had the spinal alignments in it. And I looked up the vertebrae that had the herniated disc, and one of them was the coccyx bone, which represents old stubborn anger. What the heck is that? And what does that have to do with me? Right? As the question, like, what does that have to do with me now? And I started moving through the process of uncovering what kind of old stubborn angers did I have. And obviously, once I started asking that question, all these old things began to show up. Why? Because I was then able to have a conversation around them, begin to see where the origins were, all of those different things. And I was like, okay. So at first it started out, obviously, it's very surface things of anger, right? Like Jackie, I'm angry at, experiences, other people's experiences, right? But that wasn't my anger. That wasn't my anger. I will go and I will actually grab the book off of my shelf. I left it on the shelf to my right, so I have to stand up and get it. And I kept moving through. So I went from outside experiences to surface stuff that was happening within me to, as I kept digging deeper and deeper, it was some anger. One of the angers was just around just my conversation and my judgment of my mother and how that showed up for me. And I was still pissed off with that. And it was really around something that she would not allow me to buy a pair of $20. Well, they wasn't even $20. I think they were $15 Lee jeans. Like, so you know how long ago I'm talking about, if I'm talking about Lee jeans back in the day. And I was really pissed off at her because it wasn't like she didn't have $20. She didn't want to give me the $20. But it wasn't, I learned later on, it really wasn't about the $20. It was about, did you really need another pair of jeans, child? Right. So but I had held on to that about that issue. So yes, I'm looking in the chat now. The Heal Your Life book is the book that does not have the spinal alignment. You Can Heal Your Life is the book that does not have the spinal alignment in it. The smaller book has the spinal alignments in it. So that is how the feelings and the unresolved thoughts that I had, yes, that one, You Can Heal Your Life, the little blue one. That's how it showed up in my world. So obviously, as I went through that process, because they wanted to do surgery on my back, I no longer needed that surgery on my back because now the spine had begun, that was misaligned, began to align itself. And those herniated discs that were compressed onto each other was not happening anymore because I had reached back and really dug into the emotions and the feelings that were repressed from that time. So, does anybody else have? Does anyone else have a story that they can share? I'm looking for Facebook land. I wish I could hear you. I'm trying to see. I'm looking. Let me change my view for a second.
Sister Teresa has her hand raised, but we've heard from her. So is there anyone else that would like to share
Oh
a
yeah, I
story?
thought that was a hand raised from
If
before. I
not,
thought it just went
yeah.
down. So while someone is boldly coming up, I'm going to grab the book.
I wanted to share. I believe that many of the diseases that I'm suffering with right now has to do with anger. And I recently got, they recently said that I had endometrial cancer. So when you said that, I just started crying because I'm like, I wonder if the anger has manifested, this showing up in my body because of being so angry. And I didn't realize how angry that I've been until, doing the work with Wu and other places that I've been doing work at because I've been very angry. So I'm just wondering, and anger is something that I see in my bloodline with a lot of people being angry in my family, way back to my grandmother, my great grandfather, my father's brothers, all angry, and they get very angry and very violent. But um, I don't, I feel to hurt someone, but I'm always most time hurting myself with the anger more than anyone else. So I'm really just, I'm really just thinking about this. And I really thank you for just being here to share this with me. So I'm going to really investigate, if the anger has manifested. Because my son had an experience the other day where I've been dealing with lymphedema. My son had an incident where he got very angry and his feet swelled up, like the lymphedema just showed up really bad in his feet. So I was wondering if all this time that the anger has been manifesting the diseases in my body. So thank you, sister, for sharing that with me.
Thank you, Sister Teresa, for sharing that. So yes, anger. Also, there are things under anger. Um, Start my video. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Thank you. Um, there are things underneath the anger sometimes. We do happy, mad, angry, happy, angry, sad, but underneath, are we always angry? Are we always sad? Sometimes are we just in a funk? Are we feeling melancholy? Are we, do we really have language for our emotions? Or do we just use kind of basic words? Have we ever really dug into to see if that's really anger what I'm feeling? Have we ever looked at a chart that really breaks down emotions? Like, how many emotions are there? There are really hundreds of them, but how many of them do we feel? So that is something that I think we all need to take the time to analyze. Sometimes I know there are a couple of healthcare workers on here who might actually have to go to work because we are approaching the 8 o'clock hour. There's usually, when you're in the hospital, there is the board in front of the bed, and it asks you to rate your pain, and it asks you how you're feeling today, and it has the faces, and it's usually like 10. So sometimes I would offer that we take a look at the chart, and they give you a feeling chart, and they ask you sometimes to point to what you're feeling. Which one are you feeling, or which ones, plural, that you're feeling in the moment, and they record it. And sometimes we might just need to get ourselves a chart and to begin to identify the different feelings and look up the definitions of some feelings to say, well, that's really more accurately what I'm feeling. It's not really anger. It's not full on sadness. What level of happy am I, to shift that and to change, to first to acknowledge it, then that we're having a feeling, then to kind of define it, and then begin to work through it. So,
Oh, Reverend Terry, um, we are just at 7:58. If you would acknowledge the community that does have to leave to go to work, and share your contact information. And then we'll, if you want, we can move to Sister Purple, who has her hand raised afterwards.
okay. Yes, so it is almost 8 o'clock. As I just stated, some of you might have to move into your next phase of the day. So I thank you for being here and listening and allowing some of this to seep into your subconscious mind as to what am I feeling, to dive deeper into my feelings and let me explore my feelings just a little bit more. You can reach me at, where can you reach me? You can reach me at Terri, Terri. Well, no, it's easier for you to reach me at a Labor of Love Elder Care on Instagram or Labor of Love Elder Care on Facebook. That is the easiest place to reach me. There's a Facebook page and there is my Instagram page. You can always DM me at Terri White on Facebook and send me a message if you want to reach me. So for those of you who have to leave, I bid you a great and productive day.
Okay, great. And did you want to hear from Sister Purple Norris, who has her hand raised?
Yes, I can't, I was able to see the hand raises. Now I cannot, but okay, yes.
That's what I'm here for. So Sister Purple, if you would join us on camera. If not, just unmute yourself.
I'm not able to join you on camera. I made a mistake yesterday and flashed a group. I'm not going to do that 2 days in a row.
You can handle it.
No, I'm part nudist, so I do want the world to be okay with it. It took me a long time to get to this point in my body, but that's not what we're doing. So when you said share, I was like, well, how do I feel now, right? And I've been doing my movement, setting up breakfast, tea, water, and everything while the call is happening. And that's kind of what I knew earlier, right? I was like, what is the feeling? Is it sadness? And when you just said, you talked about this, what's under there and the range, right? It could be happy, but what range? That speaks to me more. I am currently discovering, in the last 72 hours, it's been right in my face. I can't say I'm currently discovering. I'm at another level of discovering my relationship to feeling. It's been about 2 years where I've been working with different energy healers or healers of some sort. And one person for about 6 months really had me trying to work on feeling, you know? And then I went to another person a couple of years later, and they were like, you got to give yourself permission to feel anger and sadness. And I was like, well, I do feel it, right? But they're like, and now I'm with a trauma therapist that's just really starting to dig in. And it's so funny because yesterday she was like, we ain't get to trauma yet. I had a colonic this past Saturday, thanks to Mika Joseph. And right away, when I started, the lady was like, so you suppress a lot. And I was like, there it is again. And I had a blow up at work last week, which I was like, good. I had a human experience. Like I have a range of emotion finally. Yet it's not responsible and it can cost me my job. There was something in it that felt freeing, that I gave myself permission to feel in the moment, though what I really wanted was the words. And I do what you do as far as looking up the words and the meanings, trying to get it. And it's so challenging as a wordsmith to not be able to find the words for my feelings. So I'm realizing my mind, my emotion that's happening, there's like a shutdown a little bit. And my habit pattern as a child, we always thought I was quiet. I'm now starting to understand I was suppressed. And so my automatic way of being is poof, shut down, chill, be calm, protect everybody else. Because if I spaz on them, people are gonna be in trouble. And I never gave myself permission to feel the anger. And I always thought it was great because I was self-disciplined. That's how I framed it as a child. And my father is very funny. He used to be like, if somebody call you a name and you fight them for that, then you are that name, because you gave up, you surrendered your power to them, which was a great practice and a great lesson. I also was a child athlete very, very young. So I did push-ups and everything, and I was skipped when I was younger. So I was 2 grades ahead. So bullies didn't even try it with me just because of my face, right? And my physical stature. You could tell I had some muscles as a little kid, little bionic woman. But where I was self-assured is the other side of my family. They have a reputation for fighting. And I was taught how to fight really well. And I used myself, I remember thinking I was like a secret weapon in the world. And that I was the one that knew I was the secret weapon and I could press the button when I wanted to. And it gave me this self-assuredness to move freely out in the world because I knew I could take care of myself. As an adult, though, I'm really starting to unpack the layers of this stuff and seeing the response to trauma is coming up now and my reactions. And to the point where I'm trying to see how I feel is hot. There's like heat in my body. And I'm concerned that it will cause dis-ease. And so I'm present to the fact that what I think I feel is disappointment, deep, deep disappointment and letdown. And I'm still, when I speak about it, my therapist, a few people, they're like, you talk about stuff like you're saying, oh, I got to run to the store real quick. When you talk about your emotions. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no, but I feel it, And they're like, no, you sound disconnected. And so I think there's like a process and I'm evolving. And what I'm curious about, and I'm sharing this story is it a process and I'm evolving or am I still resisting feeling? And because the idea is like, I'm gonna lose control, right? Which somewhat what happened on the meeting last week. I'm like, man, that wasn't that serious. But when you're around a bunch of people who don't have a range of emotions, then you're the angry Black woman. And what if I was angry and a Black woman? That's what I wanted to give myself permission. I was like, I can be angry. Now, how I express it is my, responsibility. But I can, and it was like the world won't let me be angry. That's how it felt. And then I just now in listening to your story, I'm like, well, I'm not letting me be angry. And then when can I be angry? Not in the moment. Well, if I'm not angry in the moment, then I disconnect, put it aside, shut down. Then later on, I've moved on. Kind of like this morning, I was feeling all kind of way because I feel like it is a choice. I'm learning it's a choice. But as I burn my incense, turn on my rock, get my crystals, get my tea, that emotion is not present for me. So is it that I'm letting them come and go, or am I still shutting down and not having compassion for myself to feel?
Take a breath.
Oh my gosh, that is literally what was said on the meeting. Everybody's like, "Purple, you need to take a breath. You talk too fast." This in the last 4 weeks. I'm like, okay, yes.
Okay. I'm going to see if I have sharing privileges. But thank you for the share. Uh,
Thank you for
there
listening.
are some of us who feel a lot, and then there are some of us that are just have suppressed things so much that that we don't feel at all. Um, so I don't know. I'm trying to see if I have. Yes, I do.
Yeah, because I'm like, is this the feeling in the now, or this is some other stuff? You know?
So I would like to do this. I would like to share something with you. Um, I don't want to judge the words that are on the page.
Mhm.
So what happened was there's a book that I love, and it's called Feelings Buried Alive Never Die.
Mm.
And this script comes from, she was it doesn't come from the author. The author is Carol Thurman, and it's Carol with a K. The script comes from a hypnotherapist. Her name is
Mm.
Ellen Libbert, Lybbert. And she did hypnotherapy, but as she was doing hypnotherapy and doing her own work, she realized that you didn't need hypnotherapy to process your emotions. And she began praying for something that she could share with her clients. And little by little, she began to get glimpses of, but this is the current version of the script that has evolved over time. So, with your permission, Purple,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to move you through this process.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm willing.
So, if you could take a breath, I know you're off camera, but
I'm on now. My hair, I don't even know how I look, but I'm on.
it's okay. So then let me move out of gallery view. And I'm going to say this, we all have different belief systems, but this is how the script is written, and this is how I'm going to read the script because I know it works. I had to move even myself from the judgment of some of the words that are on the page. So, in the name of Jesus Christ, super conscious, spirit, subconscious, conscious, higher self, heart, mind, will, nervous system, brain, original intelligence, RNA, DNA, and every abnormality out of alignment with my pattern of perfection. Please locate the origin of my conscious and subconscious destructive cellular memories, which caused the incorrect perceptions that created the feelings and thoughts and beliefs of disappointment, because that's what you shared. Take each and every level, layer, area, and aspect of my being to this origin. Analyze and resolve it perfectly with God's truth. Come forward through all generations of time and eternity, healing every event and its appendages based on its origins. Please do it according to God's will until I'm at the present moment, filled with light and truth, God's immanence, peace and love, benevolence, forgiveness of myself for my imperfect perceptions, having compassion for every person, place, circumstance, and event which contributed to any of these destructive cellular memories, feelings, thoughts, or beliefs which contributed to this feeling, thought of disappointment. With total forgiveness and unconditional love, I ask that my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual memory of perfection resonate throughout my being now. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I choose being
Free and present.
I feel
Alive.
I am
Forgiven.
it is done, it is healed, it is accomplished now.
Ashe,
Take a breath.
amen, and so it is.
And now share with me my love.
I felt a lot of sweat and heat in 3 places that I believe my emotions travel and are stored sometimes.
And what 3 places were that?
My womb, which I had a partial hysterectomy 2 years ago, under my arm, and my chest beneath my breast is sweating. I was feeling energy come up. I had like a taste of metals in my mouth and I breathed out. Then I felt a huge breath, a lot of energy come up, maybe midway, and I breathed that out. I felt energy come up through my back and come up. And then I had a thought like, I just want to feel. And I started to cry, or the emotions were coming up. The response to the emotions were trying to come up. My face was moving. And then I breathed. So I also see that sometimes the breath is what helps the emotions, but it feel like it almost could interrupt this like resistance to feel it out. I see myself want to just fall out. I judged that. And I heard my younger self and the disappointment. There was a gratitude for this not being current life stuff. And then I remembered my thought as a younger person of being really sad. I used to cry in my room by myself and say, the world's not good for children. And I wouldn't tell people that. They would just ask me about having children. I was like, I want the kids. But really what it was is like, I don't like the world. The world is disappointing. It makes me sad. Which was interesting. I found out later on. Yep. And I found out that my uterus had not developed fully, that I could have a child, but I would risk my own life if I did. And they were asking me about having surgery, but I wasn't in family planning mode at 27. So I was like, I don't know about this. And I prayed to God about it. And I remember when I chose to begin my womb healing, or chose to remove my uterus because of fibroids, which I knew there were options to not do that, but I also was like, I'm not going to have children. I'm choosing not to. And I'm choosing, what I remember thinking is, I'm choosing not to carry the generational womb trauma in this organ, that the line ends with me. I'm my mother's only daughter, so I knew that was disappointing for her that I didn't have children, birth children of my own. But I also felt very freed up. And then so much emotion has been coming up. And it's been such a journey after that, because that's not there to store the emotion anymore. So I'm feeling it.
Did you say you were feeling it? You were feeling
it? I'm feeling it. And I think that breath just now, in order to say it, and I think that cough at the end, It's symbolic. I used to have strep throat twice a year as a child. I had a lot of sore throats, and I learned that was unexpressed anger. I definitely practice and appreciate Louise Hay work. And so I think that cough was starting to get some stuff up.
Wow. Thank
Hold
you.
up, yeah,
Thank you
thanks.
so much, Purple, for that. I said I was going to circle back, so I'm glad that you presented yourself in the moment.
Thank you.
I just want to share how we circled back to the feeling of disappointment, which is the one that we inserted in the sentence, and how that the feeling of disappointment started when you were younger and you really felt that the world was disappointing for young children, and how that also manifested in your womb, which is where the center of creation for having children, because you felt as though the world wasn't safe for children, right? This is where we started from, a young girl, and how this energy you carried throughout your womanhood, adulthood, and how it manifested in having um, challenges with your womb and the fibroid. And so you made a choice to now have that part of you where the creation happens and gestates.
And I was a performing artist for a long time, and I'm having a very different experience creating. And just now, even though I know that's my sacral, that's my creation space, it's just hitting me right now of the interruption and disruption, various periods of it is layered in my creation, my outlet. And my occupation is creating arts programs for young people. I am like, and that was my tone in the meeting, is like, y'all in the way of what these babies want, and I'm a battle for that, you know. So that was my inner child, I'm sure, using my adult self, or me not acknowledging her. I call her Sleeping Beauty now, because I didn't let her express herself honestly and openly. And so now I'm like, you totally cannot do that, you know, through me. I'm an adult. But I also want to honor her now, since I didn't, and my loved ones did the best that they could, but you know, they just did what they did and didn't do what they didn't do.
Yeah. And now your creation space is open in a different way, not in the traditional way, right? So your womb,
Yeah.
you had a hysterectomy, right? So you can't bear children, but now you create for children. So that creation space has been opened.
Mm.
So you're creating in a different way. And how many children do you have?
Well, they always be like, "Purple, you got kids?" I'll be like, "Oh y'all mine.
How
Oh
many
y'all."
exactly? How
I
many
got a
children
few
do you
thousand.
have?
A few
You
thousand.
created for children all over the space.
Yeah.
And not just the mother of 1, 2, 5, or you're now creating for children all over the place. You know, you are now their voice, and you allow them to express, and you're in it between you and your inner child. That is a powerful, powerful um, incarnation that you have in this lifetime.
Mm. Mm.
I don't know if you have seen it as a loss, or I don't, but it's a powerful incarnation that you have in this current lifetime.
It was beautiful most of the time. It's something about after the hysterectomy, the emotion that came in this past year has been a grieving, because I thought I didn't want children, but I was scared of a lot of things. And so I'm giving myself a period, learning or asking myself to have grace with myself. And
Mm-hmm.
it's leaving. It's not so much grief, but it just feels so different. So I love when I'm with them. I'm lit up making program when nobody's around, and I'm lit up when I see it. I'm on high and I get excited. But the in between, I feel so disappointed and I feel heavy because I feel heavy and I don't want to feel heavy. I'm fortunate, but I have to be honest about the feeling, you know?
Yes, we do. We can shift disappointment. We can shift that to being encouraged, to pleasing, to accepting.
Mm,
Great day, Sophia.
accepting. That's what is missing. Accepting.
Guess those are the two words that came from me. I'm writing and yeah.
This is powerful. Thank you, Reverend Terry.
You're quite welcome, my love. Thank you for being a demonstration for this community this morning. Thank you for being taking a stand and being a demonstration for babies, for children, to give them a creative outlet, to be able to support them in not having the feelings that you felt when you were that age. So I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And you
Thank
demonstrated something today as a facilitator that I really, really want to take away. And you reminded me of something great. You were with the silence. When you asked for someone to come up, you were just with it. You went and got the book. There's a pacing that I appreciate that had me remember that you said, all right, you willing, I'll work with you later. And I was like, I could hide out. But, it was the opportunity and it was an experience of grace. And I appreciate that. And allowing the space in a demonstration. I'm going to use that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yep. There is power in the pause. There really is power in the pause. So thank you so much for that.
So Reverend,
Everybody take a breath.
yeah.
Everybody take a breath. Everybody take a breath. Let's breathe in through our nose. And out through our mouth. And come back to the space and just kind of shake that all out because it feels like, so now that we have pulled up some energy, it's just there. So just kind of that kind of shake. Yes. And just, whew, thank you. Cheryl, you were saying something. I didn't mean to interrupt you, my love.
No, that was necessary. So it's 8:25, and I wanted to know where you wanted to go because we still have Tony waiting to see.
Oh, oh, yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I have a surprise for me and a surprise for you and a surprise for the Woo community. I am going to let Cheryl introduce her. And then I'm going to circle back to ask all of you, while she's sharing, I'm going to circle back to all of you to ask how you felt when I took purple through that experience and what came up for you.
Ashe, thank you. So I want to introduce to everyone a good friend of mine for many years and sister in my spiritual community, who is a awesome poet. Her name is Toni Shealy, but she goes by the name of The Quiet Storm. And she so happens that she wrote a poem that aligns with the topic for today. And Toni, are you there? Can you come on camera?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, Toni.
Hi, how are you?
Good
Nice to
morning.
meet you.
I am well. How are you?
Good, doing good.
Good.
So you want to give us the title of your poem and shoot, go ahead and do your thing.
The poem is entitled Emotions Buried Don't Die. Emotions buried don't die. Believe me, y'all, I've tried. They grow and fester inside, choking your step and stride because you've denied how you feel inside. You thought they subside, this emotional ride, creating the great divide, crushing your pride. Your growth and strive is to survive the great lie that what's inside will stay inside. I've implied you can't hide, be strong and provide. You've got to provide a place to abide other than inside. I've cried blurry eyed, trying to hide from what's inside. Emotions buried don't die. They become buried alive. They also multiply if you don't supply an outlet to fly high, bidding them goodbye from your mind's eye. I've always been an emotional recluse, got my neck in a self-inflicted noose. For too long, I've made the excuse. Why say anything? What's the use? Now the stranglehold has been induced. I've become unrecognizably abstruse. Living like this will send you to an early grave. I thought keeping things in showed that I was brave. Emotions buried don't die. Believe me, y'all, I've tried. They grow and fester inside, choking your step and stride, causing death while you're still alive. Emotions buried don't die.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Tony. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite. I
So,
appreciate it.
Tony, apparently you have had, are you a poet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's first. I didn't know if that was you are a poet or it just came through based on an experience, and it's probably a both and.
Yes.
So you had an experience how did this poem come to be?
Just once I started writing and just examining myself and my life and how I deal with things, I think I forgot who mentioned, oh, it was Sister Purple about having strep throat. I was developing a problem like I was choking on food, even though I wasn't eating anything. And that came from me not speaking up in my life. That's what I realized. So that's where that piece came from.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your talent and thank you for your time.
Thank you. I've enjoyed being online this morning with you guys. It's very powerful what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. Come back to the Woo space at any time.
Will do, will do.
Here 7 days a week.
All right.
5 days.
Oh, sorry, 5 days a week.
5 days, and we give you 2 days to process what you learned.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So please come back. Yes. So can someone share what the experience was when I went through that process with Purple? And prior to that, I know we are at 8:31. I wanted to share because several people mentioned strep throat. So I want to mention something about strep throat.
So Reverend Terry, it's 8:31, but this is the Wu family, and we will stay with you as long as is needed. So we're going to, I know you want to take some responses and feedback, but and then you also want to give a share about the what the actual representation of strep throat means, and according to Louise Hay's book. So would you say that we will take another 10, 15 minutes before we wrap, or How
I'll
long?
say 10. I don't even want to use 10, but I'll take 10.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just want to give the community an idea. All right. So is there anyone that wants to volunteer to share how they felt?
So in the meantime, while they're coming to raise their hand, I'll just share the piece about strep throat.
Okay.
It says grief rage. The sore throat represents a suppressed scream of deprivation and frustration. They feel utterly cut off from other people and they feel unable to express themselves. They feel a profound sense of deprivation and they have an intense sense of helplessness to do anything about it. They are holding in angry words in reaction to what is happening to them. There is a deep resentment of their situation. The withheld expressions of their feelings, needs, and information, their refusal to communicate with themselves or others, the truth that needs to be told, is resulting in an inflammation of the communication organ. This all started in a family in which there was much suppression, secrecy, and subterranean sabotage, and anyone who spoke the truth was severely punished or attacked. Exactly.
So while people are adjusting and digesting that, I'll read from Facebook. Um, Nigel Bill, I think that's Arusa, Angela Arusa, says, I regret having my daughter, and I heard Purple share why she didn't want to have children, and it triggered in me the fears about having had my daughter, being misanthropic about the world, and how I still feel the same.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. A lot of us, we're not always ready. And Purple just shared that what I just read is actually a telling of the environment that she grew up in. Um, the book that I am reading, that I just read that from, is a Dex reference book called Messages from the Body. Here's one volume of it. It's a desk reference book they use in psychology. Um, it's from a Swedish psychologist named Dr. Michael Lincoln. So that's a volume.
So I see a comment from Z. Z, would you like to come unmute and share with us?
Yeah, this whole thing is triggering a lot for me. I don't know how many of you have recognized whenever I do speak that my voice is always husky. It's gotten worse over the years. I don't even know when it really began. Recently, I'm noticing that even my singing voice is basically gone. I never had the best voice, and that's not actually true. That's basically a comparison. My mom was a coloratura soprano, and so I always compared my singing voice to hers. So I never said I had the greatest voice, but I could sing, and I did sing, and I loved to sing, and I enjoyed it. I was between a first and second soprano, and now I'm an alto. I can barely reach any notes, and I've been recently wondering if that's because I shut down so much, and so yeah, this whole thing is triggering a lot for me right now.
Take a couple deep breaths, please. We're here, sis. Take a couple very deep breaths.
I was just wondering if she was complete or if she was having the experience again and actually stopped speaking.
Probably both.
What emotions are coming up for you right now?
Hurt.
What type of hurt? Where is the hurt?
In my chest.
What type of feeling are you having in your chest?
Like my heart is in a vice.
That your heart is
In a vice.
in a vice. As in a grip.
Yeah.
So can I move you through the script?
Please.
Awesome. Thank you. So take a breath. You can snot. That's fine. That's right. And you can laugh. In the name of Jesus Christ, spirit, superconscious, subconscious, conscious, higher self, heart, mind, will, nervous system, brain, original intelligence, RNA, DNA, and every abnormality out of alignment with my pattern of perfection. Please locate the origin of my conscious and subconscious destructive cellular memories, which caused the incorrect perceptions that created the feelings, thought, beliefs of, and you fill in the blank. You said hurt, so let's go with hurt.
Yeah.
Take each and every level, every layer, every area and aspect of my being to this origin. Analyze and resolve it perfectly with God's truth. Come forward through all generations of time and eternity, healing every event and its appendages based on its origins. Please do this according to God's will until I am in at this present moment, filled with light and truth, God's eminence, God's peace and love, God's benevolence, and forgiveness of myself for my imperfect perceptions, having compassion for every person, place, circumstance, and event which contributed to any of these destructive cellular memories, feelings, thoughts, or beliefs which contributed to the thought, feeling of hurt. With total forgiveness and unconditional love, I ask that my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual memory of perfection resonate throughout my being now. Instead, I choose being what in this moment instead of hurt.
Forgiven.
I feel
Blessed.
I am
Love.
it is done, it is healed, it is accomplished now. Take a deep breath in. And sit with that.
Thank you.
Everybody take a deep breath in. And let that out. I will share this tool with you. I am also willing to move through with anybody who reaches out to me. I can move through this process with you. Um, I can do that. Um, I am requesting that Jacqueline reach out to me. So I want to thank everybody for adding another tool to your toolbox. I'm going to send this to you. Every day in the Wool community, you receive a tool. This script is another tool to move through your toolbox, to add to your toolbox, to move through the process of feelings. We do scent, sight, sound, smell, all of these different things. Now you have another tool. You have more information, we need more tools. Every day, all day, we get information from the outside world about our inner landscape. We have a new tool to process. For some of you, it might just be an update to this tool you might have used before. But I just want to thank all of you for spending this time this morning. Thank you to those of you who raised your hands to share. Thank you who supported those in the share. Thank you to all of you who had things awakened and alivened within you. Thank you for this community, that you have a place to share. Thank you for being willing.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Reverend Terry. So beautiful. I want to just ask you to please do share in our Facebook group, our private Facebook group, the script. That would be a wonderful place that everyone can access it. And if anyone who hasn't joined our Facebook group, please make sure to do so. We're going to share about that. So right now we're going to, Reverend Terry, if you're complete. Yes.
I am complete.
So we can get going with our slides, with your contact information, how you can reach Reverend Terry. Reverend Iya Terri, would you like to read it?
You can contact me by telephone. You can reach me by airplane. I don't know. Now I'm just starting to feel. That's because I'm getting hungry now. At 904-452-4464. Yes, it's a Florida area code, 904-452-4464. On Facebook, as I stated, is a labor of love elder care. On Twitter, I am Aging Answers. On the gram, I am a Labor of Love Elder Care. You can also reach me at Terry at a Labor of Love eldercare.com, or you can go to the website, a Labor of Love eldercare.com. So for love offerings and donations, if anyone feels like this was of value to them, you can Zelle or QuickPay Soul Leadership Development at gmail.com. You can send a cash app to Spirit of a Woman and use the code hashtag 273TW. Tomorrow, Wednesday, March 3rd, we are going to have a facilitation by Catherine Mbali Green Johnson, honoring our legacy, ancestral remembrance, reconnection, and reparations, part 2. And that's Wednesday, March 3rd, which is tomorrow. And on Thursday, we're going to have my little sister, Renee Smith, doing Divine Feminine Flow, a healing praxis. That's going to be dynamite, both of them, in honor of Women's History Month. And as you all know, as a reminder, the Woo community is available 5 days a week, Sunday, Thursday, and Tuesday. Tuesday comes first. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 7 to 8:30, and Monday and Wednesday from 7 to 7:30 on Zoom. And live on Facebook at the Wake Up Everybody community. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who was here. We want you to stay in touch with the Woo community. But those of you who are here for the very first time, please go to bit.ly/wake up movement to register to stay in touch. You can go to bit.ly WUE, which is Woo community. Also on the gram, Wake Up Everybody Virtual. On YouTube, you can go to bit.ly/woo on YouTube. And the email address is info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. So there are many ways to stay in touch with the Wake Up community. Again, my name is Terry White. I thank you for spending your morning with me, having coffee with me. Well, I didn't have coffee. Having breakfast with me, getting your kids ready with me. And I was happy to share another tool with all of you to be able to process your feelings. And the version that I shared is the newest version. So I just began working with this version of the script because it's still evolving, just as we all are. So I bid all of you adieu.
Thank you, Iya Terri. And this is the portion of the program discussion, the experience where we shower Reverend Terri with love for our experience with her. So everyone, please unmute yourself and share your feelings, your heart, your love with Iya Terri White.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for
Reverend
the
Terry.
That was
session.
so
It was
powerful.
such a
Beautiful.
catalyst
I'm
and
very
so
glad that
healing.
you
Thank
were
you.
Thank you,
to
thank
I
you,
hear
learned
thank
a
you.
lot
Daisha
today.
Thank
Conference.
Thank
you.
you
So
so
Thank
much.
learned
you.
that
Thank
long
you,
held
Thank you to
Terry.
see
commitment
and to
Thank
prove
you.
that
power
we're
that
really
have
Thank
been
you,
Thank you,
Reverend
thank
growing
you, thank
Terry.
you.
to
vulnerable.
being
Thank
grounded
you,
in the
Bless
truth
you.
Jackie.
and
Thank
driven. So
Love
you.
you
I
Thank
love my
guys.
you.
life that way.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank
Thank
you,
you,
thank
Class.
you.
And
Freddie.
have a
Thank you,
great day, everyone.
everybody.
Peace.
You are
Bye
amazing.
bye.
Bravo,
Thank
bravo,
you.
beloved. bravo. It's beautiful.
Thank you
So
to
amazing.
all